Hi, I'm Amy Carosa. I'm 44. I'm here just as a concerned parent. My students go to Valley West. I apologize, I had to write stuff down because I don't want to forget anything, and I'm not used to public speaking. But since COVID-19, the mental health of school-age children seems to be a huge concern of many politicians these days. And a number of digital applications and web-based counseling services are being pushed in public schools in Luzerne County. It's concerning for parents as the age of consent for mental health in our state of Pennsylvania is just 14 years old. Also concerning is that recent studies show that social media actually contributes to the decline of children, especially teenagers' mental health. But yet, anonymous computer-based counseling, such as Kooth, is being pushed and promoted by many of you. Are you aware that Kooth is a social media company that originated from Europe with no safety and efficacy data on self-harm and suicide when used exclusively in public schools? Kooth's U.S. headquarters are in 44, Pennsylvania, and many schools in Luzerne County currently are piloting this program that's lacking in data showing it has any positive effects on mental health. What's also lacking is that the mental health support practitioners anonymously counseling students aren't psychiatrists with medical degrees, but many rather are recent graduates with a degree in social work. A brief glimpse into Kooth shows that many of the platforms and various discussion boards are dedicated to political ideologies and leftist propaganda, especially in the area of gender ideology. The mental health practitioners make preferred pronouns a priority. And in fact, one of the first questions when registering is whether you are male, female, or non-binary. I assume that you're aware that transgender students have a higher risk of suicide and self-harm, but yet you feel comfortable promoting this platform with a heavy focus on gender ideology and LGBTQ issues to schools. Many parents will have no idea that their children are even speaking anonymously to counselors via this online platform, especially if their children are 14 and older. And the school and Kooth are not required to involve parents. Are you comfortable explaining to parents you thought Kooth was a great idea when their child one day decides to tell them that they were born in the wrong body because their Kooth practitioner said so? I would imagine that gender identity discussions are not best handled anonymously through discussion boards or a computer session with a counselor who the student and their parents have never met. Yet this is being promoted by you as a solution to a mental health crisis brought on by COVID-19. Research has shown that students' mental health has deteriorated in part because so much time and focus was spent online and in isolation and not with family and friends in person, but we're expected to believe that pushing yet another online social platform is going to fix things. Please help me understand the reasoning behind the push for Kooth in schools. Have any of you researched its history and the current content that is available to students, our children? Should taxpayers be footing the bill for an anonymous digital health platform with very little research to back up its effectiveness, but yet contains a very political, one-sided content that could have the potential to indoctrinate our children? I know that was a lot of questions, but I just know that I've seen, and I have to apologize, I know I've just seen like Aaron Coffer and Lisa Baker's name attached with the promotion of Kooth, so I apologize if other of you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the question, because there is a discussion going on about the role of Kooth right now and what's going on in the Commonwealth. As this was moving forward, this initiative, there was a lot of talk about opt-in versus opt-out with parent involvement, right? So that has been a big piece of whether it should be an opt-out versus opt-in clause. It ended up going through our budget as part of a as a grant initiative to try to grow, trying to find a solution to the mental health problems we have inside of our schools. And trying to scale, we put a new fund of $100 million for school security and $100 million that was for mental health services for our physical schools. $100 million doesn't scratch the surface on trying to get trained professionals inside of our schools. There's just no way to scale, and there isn't the manpower to actually do it. So the state started a new pilot initiative trying to get actual therapy into the schools by trying to scale it in a way that could be affordable. And that was it was a $3 million initiative here in the Commonwealth. I know some of the stuff that you're referring to in regard to some of the ideological stuff. I did see somebody sent me something that I think it was National Coming Out Day or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And it said, hey, if you want to talk, Kooth is here to talk with you in regard to the counseling piece of it and whatnot. And as you mentioned, the suicide rates and things that are associated with the LGBTQ community is very high, much higher than it is with the general population of students. But part of this is also to incorporate some of the self-harm and harm to other incidents. I was just talking not too long ago, so far in about 3 or 4 months of up and running, there have been 20 harm incidents reduced just in the school district of Philadelphia, where there were either going to be some level of violence to themselves or, God forbid, a school shooting. 20 incidents that have been avoided already in 3 to 4 months of operation. That might not seem like a huge number, but that's 20 families, that's 20 people whose lives are going to change indefinitely, let alone countless others that could have been impacted by that. I don't necessarily have the silver bullet for this, because the cost of trying to get these services inside of schools, which become more and more important in building in our Safe to Say initiative, which is about trying to report, if you know, violence or whatnot, and trying to build those together, I think are also part of this all coming together. So while this was a new pilot initiative going on here, several, as you mentioned, several Luzerne County schools, headquarters in 44, I certainly hear the concerns, and they have been relayed to Kooth as well. We want to make sure you are not pushing an ideology here, but more so that if people are uncomfortable and want to come and talk about these issues that they have concerns about, that the door is open. And I think they recognize that some of the stuff they put out there sort of indicates that. And I understand your concern and share that concern. So I think there's that trying to work through and find that balance. In regard to some of the data, I have looked at some of the data that they have for the United Kingdom. They cover 95% of students in the United Kingdom. They've had that for 20 years they've been up and running. Obviously they're new to the US market, which is why it was a pilot initiative here that happened in the Commonwealth. And so we'll see how our data is looking. Like I said, I just got a briefing on the data not too long ago, in the last 2 or 3 weeks in regard to that. And look forward to seeing how that is going to interact, because those parental concerns are key. I think if things are going to move forward, that would be included in a budget. What does that look like in regard to that? Because that anonymous piece of it, of a student interacting, you should have parent involvement and opting in to saying, I'm going to provide those services. So I wanted to share that with you, and so.
Thank you very much. I did support the pilot initiative. It was a $3 million initiative as one of a series of tools to give resources to schools. When it's a pilot, you have the opportunity to review it and make a determination whether we should advance it further. And that's part of the initiative. Aaron mentioned Safe to Say, which is housed in the Attorney General's office. Many of the calls into the Safe to Say anonymous line are related to harm with students and the like. And it's been a very successful program that began. There's another piece in the budget that I have always supported, and that's school-based initiatives through NBHCC, which is the Behavioral Health Initiative Consortium for Lackawanna, Susquehanna, Luzerne, and Wayne County, I think. And it allows for school-based teams within the school system to work with students, to have a counselor, a psychiatrist, and it's all funded through Medicaid dollars. It's not funded through your private health insurance, and it's done so with the parents and the support of the family. I personally think that if a family would like school-based or site-based services, that your insurance should be allowed to participate. And one of the barriers has been that insurance companies don't pay for site-based services in a school specifically. And so your child may have to go to Children's Service Center or another type of program. For a lot of people, the transportation is a barrier and they can't get access to help their children. So my hope is that we continue to look at a variety of options that provide parents the ability to make the decisions that are right for their children. To your point on the age of 14, one of my colleagues has a bill, I believe, to change the age of 14. I believe Senator Michelle Brooks has been looking at that. She's the chair of our Health and Human Services Committee. So I think, we need to assess, evaluate, and if it isn't performing as necessary, then it shouldn't move forward. But I think data is the requirement, and I appreciate you bringing your specific concerns to us. Thank you.